Racism is endemic in the United States, especially in the southern, formerly slave-owning states. So when, in the summer of 1979, a 2-year spate of slaying black children and young people began in Atlanta, Georgia, it was natural to assume that the killer was white. Suspicion fell on Charles T. Sanders, a white supremacist affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, after he was secretly recorded praising the killer for wiping out 1,000 future generations of Nikers. An informant told the Georgia Bureau of Investigation that Sanders said the KKK was creating an uprising among the blacks, that they were killing the children, that they are going to do one each month until things blow up. The informant also told the police that Sanders had threatened to strangle one of the child victims, 14-year-old Luby Getter, because Getter ran into Sanders' car in a go-kart. Getter was later strangled. However, the police dropped that line of investigation after 7 weeks when Sanders and 2 of his brothers passed a lie detector test. Instead, blame has been pinned on African-American Wayne Bertram Williams, though in the end he was only convicted of the murder of 2 adults. He was never charged with the child slayings and has consistently denied the accusations throughout the 40 years he has been in jail. However, when working on the case, the originator of criminal profiling, former FBI agent John E. Douglas, concluded that the killer was black. So when Williams was arrested, he fitted the profile. In his 1995 book, Mindhunter, Douglas maintained that, in his opinion, forensic and behavioral evidence points conclusively to Wayne Williams as the killer of 11 young men in Atlanta, though not all 23 of the children who died or disappeared between 1979 and 1981 in Georgia's capital. Despite the fact that many have their doubts, in the mind of the authorities, Wayne Williams is the Atlanta child killer. The story began in the early hours of the 21st of July, 1979, when 14-year-old Edward Hope Smith left the skating rink where he had spent the evening with his girlfriend to go home to one of Atlanta's dilapidated housing projects. 4 days later, 14-year-old Alfred Evans left home on the other side of town to go and see a karate movie. Both of them were found dead on the 28th of July in a wooded area in the southwest of the city. Smith had been shot with a .22 caliber gun, while the medical examiner determined that Evans had died from asphyxia, possibly by strangulation. On the strength of a phone call, the police dismissed the killings as drug-related. That was the end of the matter. On the 4th of September 1979, 14-year-old Milton Harvey, who had been taken out of the projects when his parents moved to a middle-class neighborhood, borrowed a bicycle to take a check to the bank for his mother. The bike was found a week later, abandoned on a deserted dirt track, while his body turned up in November, miles away on a rubbish dump just outside the city limits. At first, his death was not considered a homicide, and no signs of violence could be discerned on his badly decomposed body. A few weeks before Harvey's body had been found, 9-year-old Yusuf Bell disappeared on his way to the store to buy snuff for a neighbor. Police dismissed the testimony of a witness who said she had seen Yusuf getting into a blue car with a man she believed to be the ex-husband of Yusuf's mother. The boy's body was found on the 8th of November, stuffed into a hole in the floor of an abandoned elementary school. He had been strangled. Mayor Maynard Jackson, Atlanta's first black mayor, promised a full investigation, though as yet the 4 deaths had not been connected. On the 10th of March, 1980, 12-year-old Angel Lenaire was found tied to a tree. She had been strangled with an electrical cord, and a pair of panties not her own were shoved down her throat. There was evidence of sexual abuse, though the medical examiner did not find this conclusive. The following day, 10-year-old Jeffrey Mathis did not return from an errand he was running for his mother. Again, he had been seen getting into a blue car. The witness said that when he saw the driver later, he had pulled a gun on him. Mathis's brothers said that they had seen a blue car in the driveway of a house that Jeffrey was known to visit. Boys from his school had complained that two black men in a blue car had attempted to lure them away from the schoolyard. They had memorized the license plate and reported it to police, but the authorities did little to investigate. Then, on the 18th of May, 14-year-old Eric Middlebrooks got a phone call at about 10 p.m. He grabbed his tools and told his foster mother that he was going out to fix his bike. His body was found a few blocks away the following morning. He had been bludgeoned to death. His bike was nearby. The police assumed he had been the unwitting witness to a robbery. That, again, was the end of the matter. The pace quickened with what became known as the Summer of Death. On the 22nd of June, 7-year-old LaTanya Wilson was abducted from her home. An African-American man was seen climbing through her bedroom window. He was seen exiting the back door, then stopping to chat to another black man with a lifeless LaTanya under his arm. The body of LaTanya Wilson was found in mid-October, not far from her home. It was too badly decomposed to determine the cause of death. The following day, 10-year-old Aaron Weich went missing. His body was found under a bridge on a 6-lane highway. He had died from asphyxia, though the medical examiner said this was because of the way he had landed when he fell from the parapet. But Aaron was afraid of heights and was unlikely to have climbed onto the bridge voluntarily. He had also been seen getting into a blue car. Then, on the 6th of July, 9-year-old Anthony Carter disappeared while playing hide-and-seek. His body was found behind a warehouse less than a mile from home. He had been stabbed to death. On the 30th of July, 11-year-old Earl Terrell disappeared after leaving a swimming pool. A man called his aunt and told her that he had taken Earl to Alabama, and it would cost her $200 to get him back. He did not call again. The police suspected a child pornography ring had been operating across the street from the pool. John David Wilcoxon was arrested after thousands of indecent photographs were found. A witness said that Earl Terrell had visited Wilcoxon's house several times, but the police dismissed any connection to the missing black children because the kids in Wilcoxon's pictures were all white. It was clear that for whatever reason, the police were doing a pretty bad job, but the disappearance of Earl Terrell gave Mayor Jackson the excuse he needed. If he had been taken across the state line into Alabama, his abduction was a federal matter, and he called in the FBI. They soon had more to investigate. On the 20th of August, the body of 13-year-old Clifford Jones, who had come to Atlanta to visit his grandmother, was found in a dumpster. He had been strangled and the shorts and underwear he was wearing were not his. Evidence suggested that the manager of a local laundromat was responsible. He admitted knowing Clifford, who had been at the laundromat that evening. A young witness said that he had seen him beat and strangle a black boy and dump him with trash. Nothing was done as the police dismissed the informant as retarded. 12-year-old Charles Stevens went missing on the 9th of October, 1980. His body was found on a hillside the following morning. He had died from suffocation. A drug dealer said that he had seen the boy, dead, on the back seat of a client's car. The client threatened him with a gun, saying he would kill him if he said anything. The dealer said the man was a known pedophile. Chite. A task force was set up. Soon the list of potential victims swelled to 60, though many similar cases were left off. 22-year-old Faye Yearby was found tied to a tree, like Angel Lanier, in January 1981. She had been stabbed to death, but she was left off the list as she was thought to be too old. 10-year-old Darren Glass, who disappeared on the 14th of September 1980, was also left off because he had run away several times before. Nevertheless, city patrols were stepped up, and a curfew was imposed for Halloween in case the killer targeted trick-or-treaters. Investigator Chet Detlinger, author of the list, spotted that the places where the victims were last seen or their bodies dumped were confined to specific areas along certain highways, and that a number of the victims knew each other. 9-year-old Aaron Jackson was a friend of Aaron Weich. His body was found under a bridge in November 1980. He had been smothered in the same manner as Charles Stevens. Aaron Jackson was also friends with 16-year-old Patrick Patman Rogers, a karate fan and singer, who had a crush on Aaron's sister. With connections to at least 17 other victims, Rogers disappeared on the 10th of November. Like Darren Glass, he was thought to have run away. Before he left, Rogers had told his mother that he had found someone to manage his singing career. The man's name was Wayne Williams. Rogers' body was found on the 21st of December, 1980, face down in the Chattahoochee River. He had died from a blow to his head that had crushed his skull. Then 14-year-old Luby Gator disappeared on the 3rd of January 1981 and was found the following month. He was wearing only his underwear. His body was badly decomposed, and it was thought he had been strangled. He had connections to the suspect in the Terrell case and another possible pedophile. Getter's friend, 15-year-old Terry Pugh, disappeared soon after. An anonymous caller told the police where they could find his body. He had been strangled. The caller also said there was another body nearby. The remains were not found until years later, and they were too badly decomposed to be identified, but they were thought to be those of Darren Glass. 11-year-old Patrick Baltazar disappeared on the 6th of February, 1981. Shortly before, the task force received a phone call from him, saying the killer was coming after him. They failed to respond. His body was found by a park attendant. He had been strangled, and the rope thought to have been the murder weapon was discovered nearby. His teacher said she had received a phone call from a boy she thought to be Baltazar. The boy never said who he was. He merely cried into the phone. On the 6th of March 1981, the body of 13-year-old Curtis Walker was found. He had been strangled. His uncle, who he lived with in the projects, had also been murdered but was not included on the list. The same day, the remains of 10-year-old Jeffrey Mathis were found. He had been missing for almost a year, and his funeral made the national news. 15-year-old Joseph Jojo Bell went missing on the 2nd of March, 1981. 2 days later, a co-worker at Captain Peg's seafood restaurant said that Bell called him, saying he was almost dead, and begged for his help before hanging up the phone. The manager called the police. Bell's mother then received a call from a woman saying she had Jojo. Mrs. Bell contacted the task force, who, again, did not respond. His body was found on the 19th of April, 1981, in the South River. Cause of death: probable asphyxia. 11 days after Jojo went missing, his friend Timothy Hill also disappeared. Together they had visited the home of pedophile Thomas Terrell, no relation to Earl, who, it was said, paid Hill for sex. The body of 13-year-old Timothy Hill was found in the Chattahoochee River on the 30th of March, 1981. Cause of death: asphyxia. Hill had connections to Alfred Evans, Jeffrey Mathis, Patrick Baltazar, and Anthony Carter. City of Fear. By then, rivers had become the killer's preferred dumping ground, and the victims were becoming progressively older. The city was on the alert, and vigilante groups roamed the projects. On the 20th of March, 1981, 21-year-old Eddie Bubba Duncan, a boy with physical and learning difficulties, went missing. He had connections to Patrick Rogers. On the 8th of April, 1981, his body was found in the Chattahoochee River. Cause of death: probable asphyxia. He made the list, though earlier he would have been considered too old. 20-year-old Larry Rogers, no relation to Patrick Rogers, made the list in April 1981 when his body was found in an abandoned apartment. He also had learning difficulties and had been strangled.